Alright, full disclosure, Wargaming didn't actually give the CC's patch notes in time enough to make a video, so what I'm doing today is showing you what we know, and that is that we have 3 new ships coming to the game: Admiral Scheer Z-52 and the Vermont. Starting with the Admiral Scheer, what should we expect? Well, I believe this is going to be the new campaign ship for Tier 8. It looks kind of like a gear because, well, it kind of is. Instead of 9 305s, you only have 8 of them. Now, from my digging around on PC, the performance isn't going to be as good as a gear. The shell velocity is a little slower, the shells are a little floatier, and the AP shell damage is a lot less. As we see here in a second, it shows us, I think it's 7,700 per shell. This is actually quite a bit lower than the gear. Let's jump over to our nerd chart here, and we can see that, yeah, it's a lot less than a gear. The reload is going to be better. So what are the other stat differences that make it different? Well, a gear has torpedoes. The Admiral Scheer has secondaries, and she has a lot of them, and they're actually going to be pretty good. Also in this video, this is a mistake. She has 150 millimeter guns, not 250 millimeter guns. And let's jump over here and look at this, and I will show you. So you have a lot of secondaries. These, all of them on this side, you have 10 of them, 10 turrets of 128 millimeters. They pin 32 millimeters of armor, and that's pretty good. And then you're also going to have these 150s, one there, and then one on this side. So you have 9 of them total. These are good secondaries. Even better than Bismarck, because Bismarck mostly has 105 millimeter guns. So this could be a pretty powerful secondary armament. And a good range, 6.8 kilometers. Now, in order to get the most out of this on Legends, of course, it means taking a battleship commander, because you need Porcupine really to buff that range up. I feel like to make them competitive, I don't know, we'll have to see. There could probably be a bunch of fun and interesting builds to try with the Scheer. But yeah, this is going to be a secondary main gun focused cruiser, unlike the Aegir. And again, the guns are going to be a little bit less. Now, what else does this ship have going for it? Well, she is super fast. So speed wise, this ship goes 34 knots base from my looking it up. And also one of the consumables she has is a 15% speed boost. So you do the math with the speed flag, you can probably have a big massive cruiser that is screaming around at just under 40 knots. I think that could be pretty interesting. And that's something that no one's really talking about on this ship yet. So you can get into and out of fights really quickly. Overall, I think Scheer looks like an interesting ship if it has good concealment, and then of course, if it has that wonderful 6 km German sonar, I think we could have a lot of fun with this one. Now, the next ship to talk about, and the next one in the video, is the Z-52. This is going to be our new legendary tier German destroyer. And this one we can actually jump over on the PC WoWs and take a look at her. But from the video alone, 128 millimeter guns, decent reload. I'm sure she'll only have 6 of them. And let's actually just jump over on PC and look at her. I think the big thing to remember first of all is that unlike the Felix Schultz and the Elbing, this is the traditional German destroyer line like the Z-23, so you get no 25 millimeters of plating anywhere. It's just going to be a typical German destroyer. The survivability, pretty good HP pool, as always these German destroyers have. They're pretty tanky, you know, from the Moss, the Z-23 all the way up. They're pretty beefy ships. The guns. There's good and bad parts of these German guns. Honestly, I really think of them as just being pretty mediocre. I feel like German destroyers are mid at about everything, but they're not bad at anything either. You know, they're decently maneuverable, decent guns, decent torps, sonar, speed, conceal. Everything is just mediocre. And the guns. Of course, the HE alpha is really low. They don't deal a lot of damage. The fire chance is low. The AP is awesome. So you kind of just have to balance that out, know when to use the AP. The torpedoes, looking at them on PC, they are really disappointing. And we'll go look at our chart after this of this ship, but 14,000 max damage is weak sauce. 10 km range is okay. Torp reload time, 90 seconds, that's okay. So really these torpedoes are pretty mediocre. 67 knots is also okay, and then 1400 meter detection range, it's okay. You'll see when you add it all up, it really just means a reaction time that's pretty mediocre, about 8 seconds, so nothing to really write home about. decent AA, I suppose, and then the maneuverability is never bad on these. It's definitely not like the Schultz or the Elbing, 37.5, decent rudder and turning circle, not bad at all. And then of course on this version we can't look at concealment values on PC because it is way different than we have on Legends. The same with gun range. Those are two values that you can never really transfer across. As for equipment, it has sonar. Let's go look at our nerd chart on this one so you can kind of see some of the other differences between it and other legendary DDs. So good HP pool, of course. You're going to edge out the gearing, the Holland and the Shimakaze. The DPM, I don't think it's really going to be that impressive. Again, the HE alpha on German DDs is always low. So you're going to edge out a Kleber, but of course it has its reload booster, its win button. But, you know, compared to these other gunboats, man, you're not going to have a chance against them. You're going to have to play a little bit smarter. The AP is, of course, good when you actually get them to arm on DDs for DD versus DD fights. The torpedoes, here's what I'm looking at. You know, it has less torpedoes. Sure, it has a fast reload, but low alpha. They don't deal a lot of damage. And then again, when it comes down to the reaction time, it's not amazing at 8 seconds. It's average. You know, it's average. It's nothing really to write home about. And then the rest of the stats of the ship maneuverability are just average. I don't know. I don't know how to feel. I'm kind of on the fence about Z52. If it's anything like Z23 or Z46, it might be just more mediocre. More mediocre. Now the final ship is probably the one that everyone's so excited about, and if I can just take a second to stop and look at this. What map is this? This looks like Fault Line to me, right? This little feature over there on Fault Line is something that we haven't seen a high tier ship in for a very long time. I remember used to play this map, you know, have Yamato sailing around here, and they took it away because they felt like the map was too small for the tier. Okay, I don't know about that, but is this a return of Fault Line? If so, that could be pretty cool. Let's go ahead and jump over to the PC version of the game here as well, and I can show you guys the ship here. Now, what's most exciting about the Vermont that I would say is the size of the guns. They're quite large, 457 millimeters on the main battery. You're gonna pay for it with the reload. On PC, the ship has a 40-second reload, which is freaking long, so I don't know quite what we'll get on our version of the game. Surely it won't be that long, but maybe it will. We can look at the armor layout of her a little bit. I think a 51 millimeter deck, yeah, that's pretty good. Massive superstructure. The ship is big, slow, and a big target, so it's all about positioning with these American standard battleships, I guess is what I would call them, because this is just kind of like a, to me, like a West Virginia or a Colorado on steroids. And so it's all about good positioning. And if you position poorly, you're really going to pay for it in these ships because you can't escape or get away. Good torpedo reduction. That is wonderful. Love that. These guns, I don't have the Sigma value, but I would guess it would be 2.0. And with American dispersion, these should be pretty accurate. Now, I also think the shell velocity is going to be slow. If you see down there, 732 meters per second, it's not very fast. So these are going to be floaty shells, kind of like maybe Massachusetts or the Alabama if you're used to that. You'll have to really lead your targets at long ranges. American battleships always have pretty good AA. This is saying 448 on the continuous DPM, which is decent. And then of course, PC actually gives us flak burst values, which is nice. We don't get this on Legends, so if you ever are interested in like damage by shell explosions and what it does to aircraft, you can only find that over here on PC or by asking your friendly neighborhood community manager, when they would just love to be bothered with you bombarding them with that question. You know, the other thing about this ship, slow. At least the turn circle is not bad, and the rudder shift, the rudder shift. The rudder shift's pretty rough there, but hey, at least it's not an 1100 meter turning circle like some of the other battleships at the tier. Speaking of, let's go to our nerd charts, to the Batcave. Vermont. Now the HP, I can't say, because our values from PC are super screwed up. The only legendary battleship that we have got that had PC HP values is the Ohio. Everything else has these nerfed HP values. So what is Vermont gonna have? There's no way to know. Are they going to start giving LT battleships their PC HP, because, you know, the Grosser Kurfürst on PC should have like 105,000 health. So will Vermont get that value, or did they just give Ohio the high HP value to make people grind for it and buy it, blah, 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 to make it really good for the winter event? You decide. I don't know. I don't have the value on the heals, but again, 12 Sigma, I'm going to guess 2, and a very long reload. If that's our guess, at 40 seconds, that is a brutally long reload. Something tells me they might give us a little faster reload than that. I don't know. We'll see. But overall, the ship isn't going to be a damage monster. It's going to be all about those devastating salvos that you get on unsuspecting enemies or broadside enemies. And that's always fun with that high shell weight and damage dealt. You know, it's the reason that the Minnesota, what is the ship below this? The one that I'm really thinking about is the tier 7 one that they just nerfed, and I can't even think of the name of it right now, but it's devastating, you know, when you get good broadside salvos. So I think this ship could also be pretty fun if you are into that. You just have to be careful with poor map positioning. You definitely won't be having a lot of fun because it is so slow and so hard to get to the other side of the map if you position poorly. Anyways, that is my take on these 3 ships, and yeah, they could be a lot of fun to play, especially if we get to play them on Fault Line. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear from you. I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.